Hello and welcome back to Rams Talk Podcast. And we're here today after Derby's first away point of the season. We halted a run of 4 consecutive away defeats with a draw at Millwall. Probably could have won, but we've got loads and loads of stuff to talk about today. So we're a bit thin on the ground at Rams Talk headquarters at the minute. It's just me and Adam today. How are you, Adam?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, a rare two-man podcast, but we've got everybody listening with us. So, yeah, I'm quite good after yesterday. To be fair, not too down about it. It's first away point's important, isn't it? Just to get it on the board. So, yeah, look to the next one.
Yeah, definitely. And if you do have any questions, if you're listening live or watching live, please do post them in the comments and send them our way because yeah, it's going to be very fun with the two of us today. But Adam, there's nowhere we can start other than Jerry Yates getting his first goal for Derby. I mean, watching the goal, it's one of those terrible goals that we've come to associate with Derby over the past couple of years. Corner comes in from Mendes Lang, flicked on by an opposition player at the near post, drops to Jerry Yates, who, to be fair to him, he climbed really well to win that header, and then it seemed to hit the keeper, hit the post, hit the keeper, and then it's in the back of the net. How much did he deserve that?
Yeah, I think quite a lot, especially from his performances at home. You look how hard he works, and also I think as a side, we've improved with him up top. I think if you compare it to last season, with his hold-up play, his ability to hold the ball up and then drop the shoulder, and actually looks like we're going forward rather than just waiting for players to join him in the attack. So he definitely deserved the goal, and I think needed to get off the mark. Obviously, he's played in most games this season after his suspension. He just needed that first goal, like as strikers usually say, no matter how it comes. So yeah, really important for him to get that, and yeah, gain us a valuable point away from home as well in that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we talked about, I think it was a couple of weeks ago now, about Yates has only had 0.5 XG all season, which for a number 9 that have played, 6, 7 games is, yeah, horrendous. And I think that reflects more on possibly the way we play than his actual performances themselves. But he had a couple of chances yesterday, didn't he? He had one where Blackett-Taylor sort of took a heavy touch. It came to Yates on the edge of the box and he put it just over. And there was another one where he couldn't quite get ahead of Tanganga in the middle to get that header in. I mean, this will do him the world of good, won't it? It will give him that confidence. He didn't score many goals towards the end of the season for Swansea. Will this push him to score more goals in black and white for Derby?
I hope so, and I think it also, the manner of the goal illustrates that. We just need to be a little bit more creative away from home. I think at home he's been unlucky. I think if I remember correctly, there's been a couple of chances where maybe you think on another day they go in at home. So I'm sure he'll start firing at Pride Park Stadium. I just think away from home we just lack that little bit of creativity. But I'm sure he's going to net a couple of goals. I know a lot of people touted him to be the top goal scorer come the end of the season. You can see the quality is there. It's like you say, the XG does probably speak volumes a little, and the fact that he's working hard, but he's just not finding himself in that final position, especially at home when we've scored a couple of goals from outside the box. We've brought in more of the midfield players into scoring. So I don't think it's going to be a season where he hits 20 goals by any means, but definitely I think he's going to put some more in the back of the net now, and hopefully a few more away from home as well in that as well.
Be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be actually.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned at the start, 4 consecutive away defeats ahead of this game. And the title of this video is, should Derby be disappointed with the Millwall draw? I think before the game, I'd have taken a draw very comfortably. As we said, we'd lost 4 in a row. We need wins, we need points, we need something away from home to sort of halt a bit of a slide that we had going on. Were you happy with the point in the end?
I think upon reflection, yeah, I think before the game I was in the same boat as everybody else in terms of thinking that, we're going to Millwall. It's the first game that we're playing away from home that we could probably see as not a nailed on win, but there's a chance that we can come away with 3 points here today against a team. We're probably going to be finishing around the same position in the table as come the end of the season. When you put into context teams who played away from home previously, it's been very difficult. Probably not one game I thought we're going to get 3 points comfortably against. So coming up against Millwall, it's very 50-50 whether Derby go to Millwall and get a really good positive result there. It's always a difficult place for us to go, and with the atmosphere that they can generate in that ground, it proved to be the same. I think after the game I was happy with the point, a little bit disappointed by the performance, but it's just that belief. It's just a bit of a mentality thing that we need to get right from away from home. So definitely take the point. It's important that we've got it, and also to score a goal away from home. We haven't scored in 3 away from home. I know we played tough opposition, but yeah, we need to be better at that for sure. So yeah, I'm happy with the point. Take it. Obviously Oxford next, which is a difficult game, but once again, game that we've got to hope we can get a point or something in. So yeah, happy with the first point away from home, but need more. Need more.
Yeah, I think we do. We really do. I mean, we've said already, and we've said over the past couple of weeks that Derby needs to sort of show a little bit more belief, I think, away from home. You know, we saw yesterday when we scored, I thought we looked pretty good. I thought all of a sudden we played with a bit more confidence, a bit more freedom. We made a couple of chances, and we actually looked like a team that believed we could win the game. Obviously we didn't, and we'll get on to why. But we looked a lot more confident, didn't we? And do you think it's something that Derby kind of need to get into their heads a little bit, that we can go away from home and we can get results? Because we've said before, haven't we, when we've been to games earlier in the season, I think really big one for that is Sheffield United away, where we were all chatting afterwards going, did we really look like we believe we could get something out of this game? And I'd say the answer is probably no. Do you think after this, Derby might get a little bit more belief?
I hope so. I definitely hope so, because I think if it gets any lower away from home, then we could be in trouble. But I think yesterday I agree with you, the fact that I think in that first half we definitely looked like we had a little bit more belief. We created a few more chances than what we have done in previous games. For me, Corey Blackett-Taylor, he was very direct, but he was able to get around his man a couple of times, and it felt a little bit more optimistic. I think we sort of lost that towards just after half time for me, for some reason. Not quite sure why, but that second half for me was worse than the first half. To be totally honest, I just think we sort of lacked that belief going forward in that second half. And Millwall came forward. I think Zetterström made a really good save, and then maybe Wilson cleared it away on the rebound. I thought, come on, we can be better than this. We've shown we can be better than this at home. So I think there's definitely that belief creeping in. It's just the fact that we've got to hold it for the full 90 minutes. Obviously, we get the goal from the corner, and then we seem to push forward a little bit higher. Obviously, the goal comes, and it's pretty much clean breakaway for Millwall, isn't it? So, no, I do think we're going to show a little bit more belief. But something I bring to you is where do you think the goals are going to come from away from home? Obviously, we spoke about Jerry Yates's XG being, well, pretty low. And yesterday, for me, there wasn't that many times when, well, like we say, it was the only shot on target from Derby County, that goal. And for me, it's an own goal anyway, personally.
Poor
That
Jerry.
keeper's, yeah, well, Jensen's thrown it in the back of the net for us, thankfully, to be honest. So for me, where do you see the goals coming from away from home? Or it's going to take a big switch, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's a good point that was our only shot on target in the entire game. And I think with the way we're playing, the only way we can hope to score goals is either a set piece or a really good breakaway. I mean, there were a couple of times yesterday where, you know, Corey Blackett-Taylor made those runs in behind. You know, there was a time when he was probably unlucky not to win a penalty. I think it looked very close. I know you said that you didn't think it was very close from the stand, did
No,
you?
I
But
thought from the stand when it first, well, it looked like he was about 5 yards offside. He looked quite close to the away end, closer than the defender. So when it was played forward, my initial thought was he could be offside there. And obviously, a lot of people thought he won the penalty. But I don't know, not watched it back and not seen the angles good enough really to make an informed decision.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have watched it back, and I think it was really close. I tried to stop it and draw the lines, and that's a lot harder than you think, because of the curve of the lens on the camera. So I don't think we'll ever be sure, but those sort of runs, I think, are the only way we're going to score goals away from home. We don't really build up from the back. I think that's part of the problem. You know, we have a couple of moments where I think early on, when especially after Nyambe went off and Wilson came on, where Haldmine linked up quite nicely with Jackson and Wilson down that side. And we kind of got into some good positions, but we don't get enough players into the box unless it's a set piece. So for me, it's got to be set pieces. And I think the stats probably back that up as well. I mean, I've got in front of me here 8 goals from set pieces, 5 from open play. You know, usually you kind of want to be probably the other way around, I think, with those two. So it is a little bit of a worry that we're relying on set pieces. And I think, yeah, onto your question, I think it's got to be a set piece, hasn't it? As it's a bit depressing, isn't it?
Yeah.
The only way we can score is from a free kick. But I think that was kind of reflected in the way that Derby shaped up as well. Those substitutions were made towards the end, obviously bringing on James Collins and Nat Phillips. I think any other team, they'd see them bringing on a centre back and go into the back five and go, "Oh God, they're sitting back." But it's the other way round. It's more attacking for us, I think, if we bring a third centre back on, because we're so dangerous from set pieces. We've got another 6'3", 6'4" giant to go into that box and terrorize their defense. So, yeah, I think it's got to be set pieces. But I really hope that Warne's got something up his sleeve because, like you said, at home we've got the belief and we carry the ball and we move the ball really well. Whereas away from home, we seem to lose it. And you mentioned it as well. We seem to have a really weird sort of setup away from home. It seems to happen every game. First off, we play all right. We kind of match them for the majority. We probably create a couple of chances, with regards to Watford. We scored as well, which was great. And then start of the second half, it's like we just forget how to play football. And it isn't until probably 75th, 80th minute that we pick it up and we start to play like an actual team again. And I think in a lot of those games, a lot of the goals we've conceded have come in that time as well. Obviously, Sheffield United being one. Watford scored 2 goals in that time or 1 goal in that time. We seem to lose it a little bit in that period. Why do you think it is that just after half time, we don't seem to be the same team?
I'm not sure because I think when we're away from home, we're reluctant to really take the game to the home side. I think we're wary not to concede within the first 20 minutes, and then once we've not conceded in the first 20, we start to build up a little bit better towards the end of the first half. And then the second half, I think we get stuck in the mentality of we'd rather not lose than take the game to them. But then I think that switches when we realise we can match them. I think it's just we lack belief. I think going forward, I think players such as Kenzo Adminer are so good at home, struggle away from home to be their natural selves on the pitch, I think is an obvious one. Because when I look at Kenzo Adminer at home, it's the drop of the shoulder, it's the thinking 2 steps ahead of everybody else, it's being able to turn his man and play a cutting edge through ball. But away from home, it seems that I think he kind of loses his natural self a little bit more and plays a little bit more conservatively. And that's the same for everybody else, because I also think yesterday the passing was pretty poor, if
It
to
wasn't great.
describe it kindly. I mean, players firing balls out for throw-ins when the next player was 10 yards away was tough to watch, because it was annoying, because we have the ability to put together some good moves going forward, quick counter-attacks. That's what we've lived off under Paul Warne, quick play out wide and then getting a ball into the middle. And yesterday we struggled to do that. So I think it's the case of we're trying to not lose away from home, whereas I think I'd rather see that little bit more risk taken going forward. I think that's what made Corey Blackett-Taylor an exciting player to watch yesterday, in the fact that he was taking those risks, a couple of step overs, trying to beat his man. His end product wasn't there by any means, but I think he was the more exciting player because he was more unpredictable. I think we're far too safe in second halves of matches for my liking. I think it's far too conservative. I mean, if it's the way we're going to play and we start to pick up a few more points away from home, then I can see why we do it. But I think so far it's not worked, and we just need to be a little bit more expansive, because I think at home we are that. We're quite fluid, we're quite wide with how we play. We're trying to play the ball quickly. And yeah, it doesn't always work, but at least we're attempting it. I think away from home, we're a little bit too conservative in the fact that let's make sure we don't concede rather than thinking about going forward. So that's my take on that. I mean, yeah, why do you think there's such a big change away from home than at home? Do you think it's just that mentality of not losing?
Yeah, I think to an extent, definitely. I think the way we set up the players that we pick sometimes probably doesn't help us either. I really don't understand this obsession with playing Mendes Lang on the left. I really don't get it. I know obviously he came on for Blackett-Taylor, but it feels like a square peg in a round hole for what feels like no reason. If you look at Derby, the way we set up, and we set up the last couple of games, is we had Ryan Nyambe at right back, great defensively, not great going forwards. And then you've got Caden Jackson. I only call him Nicholas Jackson then. You got Caden Jackson just in front of him, and he's probably better defensively than going forwards again. He doesn't carry the ball. And all of a sudden, you've got 2 players on the same side that can't carry the ball. And then you look on the left, obviously, Fozzie can't get forward the way he probably could. And he seems to be playing very reserved, actually, at the minute, with the way we set up away from home. And then that kind of leaves you with a very isolated Jerry Yates. You've got Blackett-Taylor sort of being the one man with a little bit of freedom to get forwards. Although that makes us a little bit more exposed at the back. I noticed Ibu Adams was coming across that left side probably a lot more than he usually would. And then you've got Marcus Harness in the middle trying to thread it all together. And I think we're so spaced out, like you mentioned, we're so defensive. When we get the ball, players aren't committing forwards. So we're not going to be as good going forwards. We're not going to score goals. We're not going to create chances because we're waiting for magic. And I think Blackett-Taylor was quite unlucky yesterday. He definitely should have scored his chance. APUK said exactly the same thing in the comments. He should have done better in the first half. I completely agree. He should have done better. But we're relying on magic from the likes of Blackett-Taylor for us to score a goal. And I think that's why we have so many struggles away from home, because we are completely reliant on one of those players pulling something out the bag, or we score a set piece. And Blackett-Taylor, he beat one, two, three players to get into that position, to get that chance. And we rely on that every time. And that's why, I think that's why on the right-hand side, Caden Jackson's so quiet away from home, because that's not his game. And he likes quick interplay, but we don't commit the men forward to play like that. So I think that's it. I think it's just a little bit of a mentality switch. We've mentioned it a couple of times already, haven't we? That we just need a little bit more belief and commit a few more players forward. It's like we're scared to lose sometimes, and it's not worked so far. We have played some very difficult teams. We're finally off the board now, so let's hope that in the next couple of games, especially Oxford on Tuesday, we go to Oxford. We obviously played them last year. They've improved. We've improved. We should have more than enough to give Oxford a real game. The Oxford game last year was phenomenal. What a game it was. We ended up 2 goals down, ended up winning 3-2. And the reason why we won is because we took that handbrake off and we went for it, and they couldn't handle it when we did. So let's hope we can do exactly the same thing. And yeah, we just have a little bit more belief and give it something, and not rely on Blackett-Taylor to do something.
Did we score from 3 set pieces at Oxford last year as well? It was the
Fozzie
corner,
header.
and was it
2? I think it was 2. I think the other one was Tomo's header. I'm sure Tomo's header was from a cashing cross. So it couldn't have been a set piece. Yeah, only 2.
A hat trick of set pieces. We're consistent with where we score.
Exactly. But I'm just having a little scroll through the comments as well, and a guy called the Wizard Sleeve, which is a great name, has said that Zetterström's got us a point again. Adams and Cashin also faultless. I want to focus on Jakob Vidal Zetterström, as we seem to every week, because he got the man of the match on FOTMob. There's a surprise. He seems to every week. Made a couple of really good saves, but the one that sticks out to me most is the one from Macaulay Langstaff, where Langstaff was bearing down on goal. He got in behind Cashin, and it was an unbelievable save with his feet. We talk about goalkeepers one-on-one. He's probably one of the best we've had one-on-one, isn't he?
Yeah, I think undoubtedly so. And I know the goal, some people say, came for a one-on-one, but he's left on his own, isn't he? No man's land for that finish. So yeah, that save probably helped propel us a little bit more forward after that, because I think we switched on a little bit more and went, right, come on, let's go forward, because we were under a little bit of pressure there at that point. I think for 10 minutes we were conceding a couple of chances, and also in the first half, I thought he was quite solid, saving shots from tight angles, and he was making sure the ball was out. And also from corners, he's quite good aerially. So yeah, he was once again quality yesterday. Really important that he was, to have a goalkeeper who's good at pretty much just keeping the ball out of the back of the net. I think when we had maybe Joe Wildsmith to compare him to, Wildsmith, I don't think in the air he was as good when coming for crosses or punching them or anything like that. I know that was probably one of his downsides, but Joe Wildsmith was an incredible shot stopper for me for large parts of the season. I know he always had an error in him, but he was a League One goalkeeper, and that's the standard there. But Zetterström, for me yesterday, was quality again. Bravery to come out for everything and collect it and punch them away. Yeah, really important, and probably hard done by the chance that he concedes. He had a good game and then sort of left on his own there, and it's a very tidy finish and composed finish from the man there. But him away from home should hopefully inspire some confidence in the players going forward, like it did after that Macaulay Langstaff save. It was a very good save with his feet, and probably also, I think, in the first half, to keep the angle so tight for, it might have been the Watmore chance that pinged off the post. Because I think
that was Langstaff as well.
Was it Langstaff as well there?
Yeah.
Langstaff there as well. And if that goes in, then I think we're going to really struggle there. But no, he did well, kept the angle close, and And I'm surprised it even made it way through. So no, real quality from Zetterström. But we need it every game as well, and we need the forward players to start contributing a little bit more away from home, and the midfield players. But I'm sure it will come. But at the moment, just enjoying how good Zetterström could be, because I've probably not seen a goalkeeper as good as him since I've been watching Derby.
Definitely, and we're showing our age with that one, I think.
Yeah.
Scott Carson was pretty good, wasn't he? He wasn't too bad.
Carson was good, but I think natural ability, Zetterström for me looks. I mean, that's quite a bold statement. Carson has 2 Champions League medals, but there we go. I've said it now.
And he didn't play in either of them. So, but no, I love him. I love Scott Carson. I mean, we've got a couple of comments talking about, how it's great that we're winning the points. I think a big part of that is obviously Zetterström as well. We knew we needed a good goalkeeper for this season because, let's be honest, we are an average to low-end championship side at the moment with where we are, with the way we're playing. Great at home, not great away. I think how many times he's saved us already this season. If we didn't have him in goal, I dread to think where we'd be. So yeah, it's really important we keep picking up these points, and really important that Zetterström keeps making these saves, because if he does drop a few clangers and loses confidence, well, let's not even think about that, because God, where would we end up? But I guess we have to talk about their goal. Pretty ridiculous goal, and it's unfortunately Curtis Nelson again, which is quite disappointing. Sheffield United away, it's Nelson who gives the ball away at the halfway line, which leads to the free kick they score from. Nelson gives the ball away again at the halfway line. I have no idea what he was trying to do, if I'm honest. I don't know why he didn't just put his foot through it, clear it. You're the last man under pressure, or even turn, play it back to Zetterström, do anything other than just play it into the shin of the player in front of you. And Millwall end up running through. Kane Wilson's unlucky not to get it on the line as well. Just creeps between his legs as he slides in on the line. And it was a bit frustrating, wasn't it, Adam? And that's why the title of this video is "Should Derby Be Disappointed?" Because we were in prime position to win. Millwall couldn't break us down. They didn't look dangerous at all. And then another moment of madness from us gives us a goal. And we keep seeing that. It's a little bit of a worry, isn't it?
It is, and I think it's a combination of a couple of things. I think players aging that we relied upon the last couple of years. Obviously, I know Nelson last year was superb for us, but he's an aging player, isn't he? He's been in his prime for us, and he's an aging player. I think that also comes down to Mendes Lang as well. I think we've relied on him for 2 years now, and I think we're starting to see his age showing. I know his performances haven't been at the level of what we've seen, obviously, in League One. It's a tougher division, though, to keep in mind. It's quite unlike Derby to do that defensively. We've prided ourselves on being very defensively solid in the Paul Warne era. I think we did it at another point in the Millwall game as well, if I remember correctly, in that second half. Instead of just clearing the lines, you end up playing it out trying to play it out or something like that. But I think, should we be disappointed with the draw? I think in one aspect I'm quite happy, because I think we're quite lucky. I mentioned the goalkeeper for Millwall probably not doing his best from that corner that Yates scores, and also for me, could have been 2-0 down in that game on another day. Zetterström's fantastic save and the shot which hits the post and come back out. So for me, I'm quite happy with the point. I think defensively, I don't think we've been too leaky, but the chances that we have given away, they've punished us. And I think last season we had similar conversations about defensive errors here and there, but in League One they don't go as punished as often as they do in this division when you're coming up against better opposition. So point for me is a fair result. Disappointing, obviously, to give the chance away Curtis Nelson, but he's been quite good for us for the last year and also this season as well at home. So I think an error here and there. Cashin's made errors here and there. I think back to Lincoln away, where he made probably 2 errors, let the man in behind him. We weren't punished, whereas if you do that in this division now, you find yourselves 2-0 down. So players make errors, and it's just unfortunate we've been punished on them away from home. It probably doesn't help that we've lacked great in chances away from home, because I think maybe if it's 1-1 or 2-0 to us, then an error and a goal, it's understandable, it happens and you get punished for it. But I think when it's 0-0 and we've not really created too much, we definitely hone in on the errors too much more. But I think defensively we've been okay. It's a fair result for me. Defensive errors have been punished, and that's what happens in this division for me, coming up against quality opposition.
Yeah, I agree. A few people, including Peter Kerr, said how well Aaron Cashin played. I think, like you say, we defended really well for the majority of the game, and that's what makes it so frustrating, I think, and so disappointing that we lost due to such a silly error, an unforced error. We didn't need to do that. He could have just got rid of that ball, and would be, smiling knowing we've won our first away game of the season. And, your flight wouldn't have been for, I'm not going to say for no reason because we've got a point. It's a great result, but you probably would have been a happier man after such an early start to the day.
Yeah, 7:10 that train. Well, things
Was
you
it a
have to
train?
do.
I don't know why I thought you took a flight. I don't
No,
know
I
why I
took a
thought
train 7:10 in the morning because it was the cheaper option. So I was
that.
up at
Oh,
6.
oh.
Good fun.
Must be challenging. Must be challenging. I mean, we've talked about this already. Talked about this for a couple of weeks now. We've got Nat Phillips sat on the bench. Obviously, came on and made an appearance. We say it every time. He's played in the Champions League. He's played in the Premier League. He's got quite a few Championship appearances and Championship promotions under his belt as well. I mean, away from home, it's starting to look like Warren really wants to play a back five. Ryan Ayambe's injured, which is really disappointing. Obviously, he's been so strong defensively this season and last season, but he just doesn't seem to be able to stay fit for very long. Kane Wilson comes in, probably not the best defender in the world, but he does offer a lot more going forwards. Is this the time where Derby switch to that back five away from home?
I would say so, yeah, because I think Nat Phillips is coming in alone, and he's not coming to sit on the bench of a team who are going to be in the lower half of the table, has he? He's a big player who's coming to join us, a player that I think could have gone to quite a few clubs in the Championship if he had the option, with the pedigree of player he is. So I think he expects to play, and I'm sure Paul Warne knows he's got to play him soon as well. And when he comes on, he always looks quite lively as a defender as well, both in the air.
Lively defender, is that a football
Yeah,
cliche?
lively defender. Well, yeah, Sonny Bradley looks lively when he comes on at times. So even yesterday, I would have brought players on such as Bradley, who in the air are quite clinical from set pieces. I think when we play for set pieces so much, it does make you think that the game management, maybe we'd bring on players like Bradley. I would have brought him on in that game. For the last 10 minutes, I wouldn't have started him because Millwall kept trying to go in behind. And I think his pace would have got him caught out. But yeah, I can see Nat Phillips starting for sure on that back five. And I also think when Kane Wilson came on, sorry, we looked much better creating chances going forward. Because obviously Kane Wilson has that unpredictability, he has that great ball control and dribbling that he can do, and he displayed it straight away, beating his man and going forward. And I think when we've lacked creating chances away from home, we probably need to go a little bit more attacking. I know away from home we try and be a little bit more conservative, but I'm not sure we can get any more conservative away from home. If we do, then I think the back four will be stood in the stand with the away fans. But yeah, so I definitely probably switch to that back five away from home. Give Kane Wilson the start that he needs. It's unfortunate with Nyambe's injury, but maybe it now gives us the option to play wing backs, and Nat Phillips can come into that side, and it'll be interesting to see how we line up with that back five, because I couldn't pick a solid back five right now that I'd go for in the league. I'm not sure if you can, but yeah, I couldn't. If I was trying to name the players to put in, there'd be too many factors for me to pick a solid one. So Warren's got a tough choice there.
Well, to be honest, to me, if Callum Elder's fit, I think I do know my back five. I think it's got to be Kane Wilson on the right, Elder on the left, and then the three that we saw, finish the game against Millwall: Nelson, Phillips, and Cashin. I don't know who else would you put in?
Well, it's difficult because I know obviously Craig Forsyth's played here and there, and I'm a fan of him at this level. But then again, you can't put Craig Forsyth in a back five and centre back over the other options that we've already got, can you? Especially with that. If we didn't have Nat Phillips, then yeah, I think I'd put him into the side. I think last season when we played the back five, obviously we put Bradley in there, but it was a different division. It suited Bradley's game more. So
To be fair, Fozzie
I'd be,
played there before his injury.
yeah, and we know Forsyth's gotten better in that central position with his age, especially. So it's an interesting one, but our back line in terms of centre backs doesn't have the most pace. Not many do.
I
But
can
at
say.
Millwall, we got caught out in behind a couple of times here and there. We were relying on the wide players tracking back. So I think it's got to have that balance where players such as Kane Wilson, who like to push forward, we need to rely on Callum Elder, one staying back, one going forward. But yeah, I probably agree with you on that one. That's probably about five I'd go for as well.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, We've got comments from Jim and Mark talking about Derby needing another striker. Now, how long have we had this conversation for? It's
Oh,
gone on
yeah.
for quite some time. I mean, I think Jerry Yates is doing a really good job. I think he's not getting the chances that he probably deserves. Could we play a front two? I think the only way we play a front two is if we play a back five. And, we've just mentioned there that a back five seems to be on the way at the moment. So if we do that, who plays where? We've mentioned our five. I think the midfield is pretty obvious what we'd pick. It'd be Kenzo Haldmine, it'd be Ibu Adams, and it'd be David Ozo. But who is the two up top? Now, he seems to really like Caden Jackson, but if Caden Jackson is playing up front, I think what's the point? If you've got Jerry Yates up there, you need someone who can work the ball for him. I think at the minute that front two would be Yates and Mendes Lang if it was going to be any for me. If we were going to play that back five, what would the rest of your team be?
I think the midfield that you're saying, I think the problem with Jerry Yates is I think we all expect him to be the goal scorer, but he's now found himself in the position where he's better at the hold-up play in the way that he's got the flick-ons. He could get the ball down the ground and play someone else in, whereas we've not probably got another player who can do it as well as him. I know James Collins is that other player we've got in the team, but for me, he's not good enough to start in the Championship, James Collins, for me, to be totally honest. So we'll expect Jerry Yates to be this goal scorer, but I think he's now found himself in the position where he's playing that role of probably holding the ball up and being more of the workhorse, if you like, in there. And I think if we were to play him and Jackson up top, I think you see Jackson run onto the ball a lot more, which isn't Jackson's game once again. So, yeah, it's a difficult one. And I'm not a fan of Mendes Lang playing in that striker position. I think we tried it at the start of last season and he wasn't as effective as he was out wide. Coming off the bench, though, I'd be more than happy for that. But then also we've got quite good wide players such as Blackett Taylor, who's really stepped up at the moment. So it's quite difficult, really, to play a front two, in my opinion, because we've not got that other goal-scoring striker or natural striker. I wouldn't want to play Yates and Collins because I think both of them would be stood in the centre
That would be
circle for most of the
horrendous.
game,
That
trying
would
to
be an
hold the
awful
ball up.
watch.
That would be a really tough watch, especially away from home, because it'd be like 10 at the back. So I think playing two up front's difficult to say. And if I had to pick one, I would just pick Yates and Jackson. It probably wouldn't be the ideal partnership in terms of balance of style of play. But I think also in a position where how many mid-table, lower-end table Championship clubs have a 20-goal a season striker or a really natural clinical finisher? And I think that's the expectations that we've got to manage. I think last time we've been in the Championship, we've been treated some really good forwards. And obviously in recent times we've had David McGoldrick, who was so good up top. I think everybody who associates Derby with the Championship thinks of Chris Martin up top, who was a great striker. But when you are a lower to mid-table Championship club, you don't often have that 20-goal a season striker. And if you do, they're gone pretty quickly. Blackburn with Sismodics was a great example of that. So I think for me, if we were going to play the two up top, I'd just keep it simple with Jackson and Yates up top and see how it pans out. If it doesn't work, then fine, change it. But also, I wouldn't be opposed to bringing in Dosanjh Brown. I've been a big fan of his. I know obviously he's an inexperienced striker at this level. The only men's football he's played is in the Conference National League, where he did do quite well. He probably proved he was good enough to at least play League Two level up top. But we've got to start bringing in some of these younger players, such as Dosanjh Brown, through, especially when we're in that position of being lower to mid-table in the Championship, and especially in the forward positions. So I'd be more than happy to bring him in off the bench into that squad, see what happens. It offers a different option, especially away from home when we've been so depleted of chances up top. Why not throw something different in there? But to answer your original question, it's quite a long-winded goal hanger answer as per usual. But I'd just go with Caden Jackson and Jerry Yates up top, because Jackson statistically has been more clinical than Yates so far this season. I know we talk about Yates not having the option, not having the chances, but I don't think he's going to be the striker with the chances this season because of his hold-up play being immensely better than anyone else we've got.
Yeah, if anyone's still awake, well done.
Well, yeah.
No, I agree with you to an extent. I think from my perspective, what I'm thinking is if we're playing a back five and we've got three in midfield, the two up front have got to be able to carry the ball. And I think that's why Mendes Lang ended up in that position, because it was basically a free role. And he had the license to roam about a bit. He could go on the right, he could go on the left, he could go down the middle, he could go wherever. And I think that's where he had a lot of his luck. I mean, Cambridge away last season, perfect example. Last game of last season, he makes that diagonal run from the right into the middle, and none of the defenders expect it. He's completely free, and he's through on goal, rounds the keeper, and he scores. It's from the left, the middle, sorry. And yeah, he scores, and that's what wins us the game. And I think from my perspective, I don't think Jackson will do that, and he can't carry the ball. So I like what you mean with Yates. Yates has got the little flicks, the little tricks. He can, find players, hold the ball up, win free kicks in good areas. And I think he needs someone next to him that can carry that ball. And I think that's part of the reason why he's not had the service this season, is because the players that carry the ball are all in the wrong place. Mendes-Lang is on the left, where we saw it when he came on. He tried to beat the guy down the line. He's not got the same pace down the left as he does down the right. It sounds ridiculous, but he's got to take that extra second, that extra step to play it with his left foot, because, it's his weaker foot. He has to really think about it. Otherwise, he'll blaze it into the stand behind the goal. Whereas when he's going down the right and he puts that ball in with his right foot, it's a lot quicker, it's a lot sharper. So I think we've ended up in a position where all our good ball carriers, Houdmine is really deep, Mendes-Lang's on his left foot, Ken Wilson's been sat on the bench. All the players that would be able to carry that ball and find him haven't actually been close enough to him. So that's why I think, from my perspective, Mendes-Lang and Jerry Yates is probably the front two that we want. And I think it'd probably end up a little bit like last season, the way that Mendes-Lang and Collins played. But like you say, Yates is a big upgrade on Collins. He does what Collins does and more. And that's why we signed him. And that's why we want him in those positions. So, but I wouldn't complain too much if it was Jackson up there as well. If we played that front two, just as long as one of the two has got that pace and can use Yates's flicks and tricks to get us into good positions. So to finish us off, let's talk about Oxford and Hull. Oxford away on Tuesday, Hull at home on Saturday. Two really important games. Obviously, Oxford being a promoted side, as I mentioned already, and Hull, I think, it's a winnable game. It's a very winnable game for Derby. They've probably not had the start that they maybe hoped they would. I thought they'd probably be right up there this season, and they're not quite there. How are you feeling ahead of both, and are there any changes that you'd make from Saturday's team for either of those games?
Obviously, with Niambe's injury, I'd expect Kane Wilson to come in at that right back. I'd stay with the back four for the home game against Hull. Away from home, I could imagine maybe we'd tempt to that switch of a back five, especially with Niambe's injury. It could push us to be a little bit more defensive centrally. I think for me, I look at the games, and obviously Hull are probably the team with more quality, but I see Oxford as the more difficult one, with us being away from home.
In fact, that's the sole reason.
Chalk and cheese, home and away from home. And the fact that we're probably going to concede a few chances to Oxford with the momentum that they could generate. Because saw it last season, when they've got the momentum behind them, they're a dangerous side to play at the Kassam. So it's going to be difficult games. But for me, in terms of changes, I won't make too many. I'd probably only switch Jackson out for Mendes-Lang. Keep Corey Blackett-Taylor in the team, please, away from home, because although his end product isn't there, we're only a couple of games away from it being there. He scored a lot of goals from Charlton from being out wide. That's the reason we've signed him, because he is a clinical player from out wide. Yes, it was lacking that final ball on Saturday, but he's very close to it. He's shown it at home. He can be on it with the goals, obviously, against Norwich. So I wouldn't change too much. Hopefully, we can take 4 points. If we took 2 in 2 draws, I probably wouldn't complain too much. The games that we just need points in. I think if we lost both, then start worrying. But yeah, I think
relegation.
We can take something. Well, I think we could take something from both. I'd see Oxford as the tougher game, even though Hull probably have more quality.
Yeah, I think I'm probably in agreement with you, to be honest. I think, I'd drop Jackson, get Mendes-Lang in, get that pace down both wings, and give Jerry Yates a chance to get more goals in a Derby shirt. I think with the both of them, we've got a real chance. Both of them have got pace. Both of them carry the ball really well. And both of them have a habit of putting the ball in the back of the net as well. So I'm in agreement with that. I think David Ozo should come in as well if he's fit. I think Marcus Harness would probably be the person I'd drop. Nothing against him. I think he's played pretty well in both games, but I just feel like if you give Houdmine the license to roam a little bit more, and you have David Ozo sort of as the anchor in that midfield, all of a sudden the midfield looks a lot more balanced and a lot stronger. I think at the minute we're a little bit lightweight, with Adams being the only one with any physical presence. So I think I'd bring Ozo in, and yeah, Kane Wilson at right back, obviously, as well.
For me, Marcus Arnott on that, I wasn't that impressed with him yesterday against
Mm.
Millwall. I didn't think he contributed too much going forward. I know we haven't been great going forward at all in any of the games. I know it's not just down away from him. I know it's not just down to Marcus Arnott. But for me, I expected a little bit more from that attacking midfielder role, pretty much in what he was. Just wanted a little bit more because I think he came down to that passing. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I got bored during the game and didn't watch it as closely as what I get on usual ones. But yeah, for me, I expect a little bit more from Marcus Arnott in that start away from home. But it's early days, isn't it? Still got the license to say that. It's still been only October, so yeah, it's still early on. But yeah, I agree with you saying maybe drop him back to the bench because I think he probably could be more effective coming off.
Yeah, I agree. And APUK has put his entire team in the comments. Let me try and dissect that really quickly. He's basically gone for very similar to what we've gone for as well. Mendes Lang, Corey Blackett-Taylor coming in as well, which is good. So yeah, give us a score prediction in the comments if you have one. You'll have to be really quick because usually there's 4 people to go through, and today there's only 2. So go on, Adam. Give us your score prediction for both games.
Oxford away, 1-1. Own goal from Oxford to gift us the keeper spills it. But no, I think maybe Blackett-Taylor will score because he's looked our liveliest player in the last couple of games for me. And then I think Hull at home. I'll say a 3-2 win. Quite an entertaining game because I think we're quite expansive at home. And I'll say Yates with 2 and Howard Mine with the other. That's my score prediction.
Great stuff. Yeah, Jim in the comments has put Oxford, we're going to win 3-1. Wow, 3 goals away from home. Yates with 2 and Kenzo with 1. And Hull will be a goal hanger special 2-1 with Cashin and Adams scoring. APUK has said 2-1 to the Rams as well. Oxford, personally, I think it's going to be a really difficult game at Oxford. I think I'm probably going to agree with you, actually. I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw. Sibley own goal. It'll deflect off Ebioe and hit Sibley on the line to go in, and that'll give us the goal. And he'll run off celebrating, forgetting what team he plays for. And then, yeah, on the Saturday against Hull, I'm going to go for another boring 2-1. I think Kenzo Howardmine's going to improve his impressive goal record at Pride Park. And I think Nathaniel Mendes-Lang, whose name I almost forgot how to say then, is going to score the other one as well and finally get off the mark for the season. I think he's been unlucky at the post, had a couple of good chances, and yeah, he'll finally get off the mark, and Derby will get hopefully another win at home. In the comments, Simon Pollard's gone 2-2 or 1-0, 4 points, which would be good. 2-1 and 2-1. Peter Kerr said he hasn't said what team to, so that'll be interesting whether he means 2-1 defeats each time or not. And then the dog has said 2-1 CVT and Mendes Lang with Ebioe to score for them. So right, we shall see what happens. Hopefully we're here in a week's time celebrating 2 Derby wins. Will we? Probably not, but it's good to think about it. If you did enjoy, please do leave a like. Please do subscribe. Usually there's more of us. Usually there's at least 3. So there should be next week. So this isn't a normal episode. And yeah, if you want to support us in running nearly 4,000 kilometers, we're doing it for Derby Food for Thought Alliance, which, really great charity. Their whole thing is feeding people who need it most. And as it gets closer to winter, they need more and more. So if you want to support us running, Callum Boocock's doing about 50 kilometers a day with the numbers he's doing at the moment. So yeah, if you want to support us, we'd be really grateful. And yeah, you can find the link in our description. So thank you very much for joining. It's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
And that's it. Thank you for joining us. We will see you soon.